Yeah. I'd like to welcome everybody to my podcast. Thank you. I am your gracious host, Jupiter 9. And I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in today. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate everybody listening to my podcast and tuning in and, showing me mad love, man. But in today's podcast, guys, I want to talk a little bit about the NBA, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to sit here and talk about the playoffs or, who's the scoring champ or, what team is the best in the playoffs or anything like that, or who's the best player in the league. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm feeling kind of disappointed at the NBA. The product that they have put out on TV is very disturbing. And let me explain, man. I grew up in the era of, when players were players. You know what I'm saying? You had Isaiah Thomas, you had Larry Bird. And, why don't people never talk about Larry Bird as one of the top greats that ever played the game? Because, is it because he's Caucasian? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to make this a race thing or nothing like that, but nobody never talks about Larry Bird. Like, how in the world do people want to compare LeBron and Michael Jordan all day long, but they never mention Larry Bird? They never mention Isaiah Thomas. Like, Isaiah Thomas is one of the greatest point guards that ever played. Like, I don't understand. And this is what I don't understand about the NBA today, but let me go back to, what I was getting ready to say, as I've been a fan of the NBA since a little toddler, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I used to be a fan of the NBA before football. You know what I'm saying? I used to watch the Knicks. I've been a fan of the Knicks since they drafted Patrick Ewing, and been a fan ever since, man. I've been a Knicks fan ever since. And, the Knicks always had trouble getting past Michael Jordan. Later on down the line in the 90s, they never could get past the Bulls, and, I hated the Bulls. For a long time, I hated the Bulls. I disliked, the Bulls players. I respected their game. Scottie Pippen, he was a all-around great player. You know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan, of course, you know who that is. But I just couldn't be a fan of the Bulls and cheer for the Bulls when I know every time that Patrick Ewing and John Starks and them guys will play them in the playoffs, we could never get past those guys. For whatever reason, I don't think we could mentally get past them. You know what I'm saying? So, and Michael Jordan, you always used to light us up, man. Always used to light us up in the playoffs. In the 90s, it just seemed like when he played at the Garden, it didn't matter. You know what I mean? He was dropping 40, 50, sometimes 60, and it's just like, this guy is unstoppable, But today's NBA is very disturbing. I was able to catch a couple of games this year in the regular season, and I was able to catch a game in the playoffs. Now, mind you, regular season and playoffs is supposed to be totally two different seasons. And let me explain what I mean by that. Like, when you're watching the regular season, guys are just going through the motions most of the time, especially when you get towards the end of the season, the middle of the season. Guys are banged up, guys are tired, you know what I mean? They play a lot of games, you know what I'm saying, throughout the season. So, most of the time, even the star players, they're just going through the motions of the season to get it over with. I mean, and everybody know in the sports world, if you watch sports, the season really starts when the playoffs begin. You know what I'm saying? So, so I was able to catch a couple regular season games. I wasn't impressed about the product that they put out there. First of all, who are the clear-cut stars in the NBA today? I'll wait. Who are the clear-cut stars in the NBA? When I was coming up, I can reel off 10 guys easily. You know what I'm saying? You had Michael Jordan, you had Scottie Pippen, you had Charles Barkley, you had David Robinson, you know what I'm saying? You had Tim Duncan, you had Sean Kemp, you had Gary Payton, you had Kevin Johnson, the point guard for the Suns. You had, of course, Michael Jordan and those guys. I don't know if I said them. You had Grant Hill, you had Shaq, you had Kobe. I mean, I could just go on and on and on about clear-cut stars of the NBA who took the game seriously, who were students of the game, who really, truly loved the game. It wasn't about the money with these cats. Yeah, of course, they want to get paid for, putting in the time and, the hard work in the off season. You know what I'm saying? The hard work during the season, the hard work as the season is going on. You want to be compensated for that. Of course, anybody want to be compensated for that. But the mindset of these players today and the style of game that they play, I'm not feeling this game today, man. I'm not feeling it. Like this today, NBA is soft. It's very soft. It's not even entertaining. I don't know who the star players are. There's no clear-cut stars. I mean, you got Curry and you got LeBron, and after that, I draw a blank. I had stopped watching for a minute because, once Kobe retired, I mean, that was the end of a dynasty. That was the end of an era of true star NBA players. You know what I'm saying? After Kobe retired and left, I mean, yeah, you got LeBron, but something about LeBron's game, it's like hit or miss, man. Like, for LeBron to play defensively the way he plays, LeBron definitely benefited from a weaker NBA. You know what I'm saying? LeBron didn't have to go through what Michael had to go through in the 80s and the 90s. LeBron didn't have to go through what Kobe went through in the 80s, not in the 80s, but in the late 90s and 2000s. The punishment, the tough defenses. You know what I'm saying? Like, what Kobe had to go up against, LeBron didn't really, he got a little snippet of it, and then the league changed the style of play. Now the league is on this. All I seen when I was watching the game, no defense, zero defense, which I guess the NBA wants, is like nobody to play defense. I mean, defense, I love defense. Even in football, I love a defensive football because it takes a true student of a football game or a basketball game to understand defense is just as important as offense. You know what I'm saying? You can't really be a 100% whole team without defense. And where's the defense in the NBA? Where's the centers? Where's the Shaqs? Where's the people might make fun of me by saying this, but where's the Yao Mings? Like, where is the centers? There are no centers in the NBA no more. The NBA are full of power forwards playing center. The NBA is totally a European style game now, and I cannot stand it for the life of me. I don't know if it's because I grew up watching a different style of NBA as a kid, and that's what I'm accustomed to. But this whole, guys getting the ball, and number one, a lot of these players, or you call star players in the NBA today, they don't know the fundamentals of the game. Just the basic fundamentals of the game. A lot of these players don't even pass the ball. They don't share the ball. They don't have any true fundamental skills. I just see players going up and down the court, chucking up threes. Nobody has a post game anymore. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has no footwork anymore. Just guys chucking up threes. That's all I seen throughout the whole game. I was watching the Knicks and the Miami Heat playoff series. I watched a couple games, and like I said, man, I wasn't impressed. Kudos to the Knicks making the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? I was happy about that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to check out a game since my Knicks, you know what I mean? Since they made the playoffs, so, I had to check out and see how, good they would do. But, they end up losing the series and whatnot, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. They made the playoffs. They had a decent season, so But the product that the NBA is putting out on the court is just why are people watching this? It was just you got players like Reggie Miller. I forgot about Reggie Miller, man. How can I forget about Reggie Miller? People never bring up Reggie Miller. You know what I'm saying? They always talk about Steph Curry and how he's such a great shooter. What about Reggie Miller? Sharif Abdul-Rahim he was the Steph Curry of the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Sharif Abdul-Rahim, I think his name was, who was blackballed out of the league for his stance and his beliefs and his religion. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sharif Abdul-Rahim, another amazing player. It's no telling where he could have, how far and great his career would have been if, he didn't believe what he believed in. You know what I'm saying? But he stand on what he stood on, and he was willing to risk his, his career, playing in the NBA. And, he's another great player that people don't talk about. Everybody talks about Steph Curry and how great his handle is. I mean, it's a handful of players that actually got skill. Yeah, Steph Curry is decent, he's good. He don't have no defense. He has no defense, none. You know what I'm saying? None. And Allen Iverson defensively is way better than Steph Curry. And that's sad because AI didn't have no defense either. You know what I mean? But he was a great scorer. And Steph Curry, I guess they put him in the category as a great scorer. So, kudos to him. But the NBA is trash, man. You know what I'm saying? And, if the NFL continues to soften their game, it will be trash as well. There's certain things about the NFL they're starting to do that, it's kind of like ruining the game. The thing I don't like about the NFL, while we on, talking about the NFL, the thing I don't like about the NFL, they don't allow the players to celebrate. They don't allow the players to be themselves. They can't celebrate. I kind of disagree with that with the NFL. I believe that, the game is supposed to be entertaining, and, NFL is trying to keep the game as boring as possible, but the NFL is still a really good game to watch still, even with all the rules and the regulations and them stopping players from celebrating when they score touchdowns. The NFL is still, I believe, is top tier when it comes to sports games. I can't really speak on any other sport really. I watch baseball here and there. When I was back home, I used to watch the Mets all the time. I'm a Mets fan, so. But I'm not a real huge baseball fan like that. I didn't grow up in that era. That's like kind of like my grandpa's era. When baseball was the thing to watch. You know what I'm saying? And NFL was still a little pup. So people were, as far as like sports, people gravitated to like baseball. That's the 50s and the 60s, and the 70s. And then around the 70s is when the NFL started to, 70s and 80s is where the NFL started to, take kind of like, was the beginnings of them taking over as the number one sport in America. You know what I'm saying? So, I didn't grow up in that era. That's like my grandpa's era, And I believe he was a Yankees fan. Yeah, and I don't like the Yankees because I always felt like the Yankees never really did things they supposed to win those championships. Like, they pretty much paid for those championships. Like, they didn't do it through the draft, like drafting players and scouting the way that most teams have to do it. They really pretty much paid for a lot of those championships, getting players. So, hey, you do what you gotta do. If you got pockets like that, go ahead and do it. But I'm not a huge baseball watcher. I will catch a game, like I said. If the Mets are doing well, I'll catch a game. You know what I mean? But You know, lately the Mets have been but the product, you guys got to stop supporting sports that are not fully, that's not a great product that's being put out on the court. You got to start supporting that. You know what I'm saying? Don't support that, because right now the NBA is just putting anything out on the court, anything out on, it's not even entertaining anymore. The NBA All-Star game is trash. So you can't even take that seriously. Players used to take that seriously. Know what I mean? I remember the NBA All-Star game with Jordan and he hit the last shot, and then I think Kobe ended up hitting the last shot. Jordan hit the last shot and went into overtime, and then Kobe hit the last shot. So that's entertaining. Like, players from back in the day, it just seemed like, to me, it was the art and the skill and learning your craft first of the game, and then the money was second. You know what I'm saying? Today's players, to me, from what I'm watching, it just seem like the money is first, and then these NBA teams are giving these kids all this money that haven't been, they didn't prove anything. They didn't prove nothing. They even earn that money. And a lot of the old school players are like, the money that we made, we earned. Facts. The money that Jordan was making, at one time, Jordan was making $50 million a year. He earned that. For a long time, for years, Jordan had the league on his back. Like, the league was on the verge of going into bankruptcy. Jordan came and saved it. That's a fact. So he earned, like, not only that, he revolutionized the game. And I'm not a Jordan fan. I'm not a Jordan fan. I never bought a pair of Jordans. You know what I'm saying? I respected his game, but I was a Knicks fan. You know what I'm saying? I was a Knicks fan. I respected his game. He was entertaining to watch, because players from back then, man, they put the work in. Jordan put that work in. And not only that, the team put a team around him so he could win. You know what I'm saying? It takes a team to win the championship, not an individual player. And for a long time, LeBron had to learn that. He did. LeBron had to learn that. And that's why he ran to Miami to win the championship. Because he felt like Cleveland wasn't putting the team around him to win a championship. You know what I'm saying? But LeBron being the best, I don't know. Sometimes I'm up and down with it, man. Sometimes I'm up and down with it because of the era he plays in. It's so soft. The way you can drive the lane, like star players like that, drive the lane and not get touched. Like, I used to see Jordan get obliterated by the Pistons. Obliterated. He would drive the lane in the playoffs. Drive the lane. And they're throwing elbows, they're kneeing them. They're doing all types of stuff to Jordan. He's hitting the deck every time he drives the lane, and when his earlier teams used to go to get in the playoffs, and they had the Jordan rule. You know what I'm saying? They had the Shaq rule. Hack a Shaq. You know what I'm saying? Like, these players today don't have to go through that. And that's why they're having such a long career, because of the punishment they're not taking. They're not taking any punishment. You know what I'm saying? Especially in basketball. There's no punishment you're taking in basketball today, besides the long seasons and the running up and down the court, the punishment you putting on your joints, running up and down the court. But as far as like physical punishment you're taking from other players of the opposite team, there is no punishment being taken. So that's why you see cats like LeBron James playing at this age at a high level still. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how old LeBron is. What is he, 38 now or something like that? That's why you're seeing cats last so long in the league, is because their bodies is not taking no real serious punishment that players in the 90s took. You know what I'm saying? Jordan played until he was what? 37, 36, 34? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't have the stats in front of me. But David Robinson was another player. He didn't last mad long like LeBron did. He retired. Players from back then took serious punishment. Shaq, for example. You know what I'm saying? Shaq. He took serious punishment his whole career. The hacker Shaq. That was the rule. Hacker Shaq. Teams would used to sign just big bodies in order to have extra men to foul Shaq as hard as they possibly could. Like, seriously, like, for real. They used to sign extra bodies, centers, just so they'll have extra guys they can foul Shaq during a game. That's how serious it was back then. Guys were getting slammed, guys were getting elbowed, guys were getting kneed. People were throwing punches, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I know that's not part of basketball, when you really get down to the fundamentals of basketball. But and again, we talking about fundamentals, and these new players don't even have fundamentals of basketball. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like players like Larry Bird. You know what I mean? Larry Bird and Isaiah Thomas, all these players, Magic Johnson. But see, man, I can reel off players for days. Dr. J. Dr. J was the first superstar basketball player that made me go, oh man, I love this game. And I didn't have the opportunity to watch Dr. J in the prime of his career. So, I caught him in the tail end of his career, as a kid, but a lot of players emulated their game through Dr. J. You know what I mean? Even Jordan said Dr. J was the guy he looked up to coming up as a kid. You know what I mean? So a lot of guys idolized Dr. J. My uncle was a huge Dr. J fan. You know what I'm saying? And I wonder what Dr. J career would be if he did not play if he played his whole career in the NBA instead of like splitting it up with, the American Basketball League, and then they merged, the NBA and the American Basketball League merged, and then that's how Dr. J ended up in the NBA. I wonder what happened if they, if Dr. J had his whole career in the NBA, what his numbers would be. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I didn't have the opportunity to watch Dr. J. Dr. J when he was coming, when he was in his prime. I would have loved to. Like I said, I watch stuff on YouTube, highlights and stuff like that, or sometimes I'll watch full games of Dr. J's games. And he was serious, man. He was serious. Like, what's so crazy about the game back then when Dr. J played? They didn't have a 3-point line, man. You know what I mean? They didn't have a 3-point line. So for a player to score 40, 50 points, you had to been going insane on the court. You know what I'm saying? To get that type of numbers, So when a player scores 50 points, and sometimes they score 60, it really don't impress me in today's NBA because there's no defense. Where's the defense? You don't have players like Dikembe Mutombo to worry about. Where's the centers? Where's shit? And you don't have players like Shaq in the middle. You don't have another player they don't talk about. Hakeem Olajuwon, man. One of the greatest centers that ever played, man. Footwork was phenomenal. Phenomenal. He had crazy footwork. His post game was crazy. He had all types of post game. There's no post game in the NBA, man. Where's the sky hook at? Nobody. Where's the finger roll at? I mean, like, come on, man. Come on, man. The game is trash, man. The game is so trash. People today who watch the NBA are really, really, really being fed a watered down version of what the NBA should be, man. Because today's game is just trash. I was not impressed. I was not impressed. I don't even think that I'm going to watch another NBA game. Yo, for real. Like, it was just that bad. And I'm like, people watching this. See, man, you young kids, man. You young kids missed out, man. Like, you guys are really, this generation is being cheated in sports, from, the NBA. I can't really talk about the other sports because I really don't watch them like that. But they're being cheated out in musically. They're missing out on music. You know what I'm saying? Real hip hop. The only way they can really get a essence of what I had an opportunity to watch and what I had an opportunity to listen to as a kid is to watch it on YouTube or one of these streaming platforms. You know what I'm saying? The music is and I'm just talking from mainstream perspective, it's trash. Where's R&B at? You know what I'm saying? Where's R&B at? Where's jazz at? Do kids even still, learn how to play instruments in school? I believe that they took instruments out of school. Like, the kids are getting cheated all the way around, man. This generation is being cheated, man. No creativity in music, no creativity in the NBA, the sports. Like, kids today really think that's the way those players played today is a real how they should play in the NBA. I mean, come on, man. Go back and watch some highlights of, Dominique Wilkins is another player that I forgot about. How can I forget Dominique Wilkins? He was one of my favorite players. Dominique Wilkins was my favorite player. Charles Barkley was another player I liked. You know what I'm saying? AI. I mean, who else, man? Kobe. I like Kobe too. Kobe was just one of those players that he was possessed by winning. I remember watching a playoff game with Kobe. It was a finals game, and I think he was playing the Celtics. I don't know if it was the Celtics where he lost that series against the Celtics or the one he won the series. I think he played the Celtics twice in the finals or something like that. Well, anyway, he won the series. You know what I'm saying? I think it was the last championship he won. I can't remember who he played. I think it was the Celtics. And he had this mean look on his face. Like, he was so determined to win that playoff series. To not only win that playoff series, to have one more than Shaq. He was so determined, man, to win that. You could see it on his face. Like, whatever that team that he played, I think it was the Celtics, did, it didn't matter because they weren't stopping him. You know what I'm saying? They weren't stopping him. And I don't see that from today's players, man. You know what I mean? The product, again, guys, you guys who watch the NBA on a regular basis, like, I wish I knew some of these players' name, because then I can, like, call out some of these players for just not playing to the standards of the NBA I'm used to and accustomed to growing up as a kid. Watch it. You know what I'm saying? And even Shaq even said something about it. Like, these players today don't really know how to play the game. And he's right. They're lazy. And he's right. Players today don't put in the work that players of yesterday did. He's right. I mean, you guys are being cheated, man. Definitely being cheated. Again, like I said, go back and watch some old school tapes of, you know what I mean, Akeem Olajuwon. Go back and watch some old school tapes of Sean Kippen and Gary Payton. You know what I'm saying? Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns. Go watch some old school tapes of them. You know, David Robinson and Tim Duncan in his prime. His post game was retarded. Tim Duncan was the master of off the glass. I don't see nobody with a post game. People just throwing up ball. Man, it's just awful, guys. It's awful. But I mean, you know, kudos to the people who like the NBA now. I mean, kudos to the people who think that this is the best stuff since sliced bread. But again, I'm 45 years old, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll be 46 this year. And I've seen some great players play, man. For real. Not this, you know, cupcake. Everybody's your friend. And that too. Everybody's your friend in the NBA now. You know what I'm saying? There's no real rivalries. There's no real animosity amongst players. Like, players back in the day actually used to really hate each other on the court. You know what I'm saying? Kobe really used to hate players on the court. Trash talking was for real back then. You know what I'm saying? Players really couldn't stand your guts if you were the opposing team. So, you know, it's sad, man. But RIP to, you know, the NBA, man. Because it's over. Just like Nas said, hip hop is dead, the NBA is RIP, man. Until I think that the NBA won't change until another player comes and change the game back to what it used to be. Right now, I'm not feeling this style, and I seen this style coming 10 years ago, man. You know what I'm saying? 10 years ago, this style, because it started changing towards the end of Kobe's career. This, you know, this style that they have is the change. It went from, you know, defensive style to this style you have today, where everybody's just freelancing and just running up and down the court shooting threes. It started towards the end of, I noticed it towards the end of Kobe's career, and then once Kobe retired, you know what I'm saying, I knew that that was the end of the old era and a beginning of the new one. And this cupcake stuff that you see in the NBA is what you see today, man. But yo, I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But that's my take, guys. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? Please share this with everybody to help my podcast grow. I really appreciate it, but that's my take. I am your gracious host, Shooter 9, and I just want to say peace and love. Take care. One.